Hello everyone, my name is Iris Yim. I am Mr. Yim Mau-Kun's daughter and the editor of his YouTube channel. We have today our guest Niranjan Mhamane from India. Thank you for joining us, Niranjan.
Thank you, Iris, for inviting me for this session. I'm quite humbled today that we are going to sit together. We met in Taipei when I was there, learning under him, and now today, after a very long period, we are going to talk about my time in Taipei and learning with master. So it's very joyous moment for me. One thing I noticed about learning with Mr. Reem was the insights that he shared. So they can be grasped and understood by all levels of artists, like the artists who are starting and who are at the beginning stage.
Mm-hmm.
For them also they mean something, and for advanced stage also there is a lot to gain from his same comment or same suggestion that he has given.
I see. So basically at different points in your career, you will have different understanding of what he teaches.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. But first, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as an artist and what inspired you to pursue art in the first place?
It's a big question. This goes back to my high school years when I was more oriented for subjects related to science and other stuff. Art wasn't there as the first passion or something like that. But I started reading stories. I started looking at the pictures in a lot of illustrated books. I started reading a lot of comics, and somewhere in my uh, high school years, I felt that I should be able to create something which looks similar, like either illustrated stories or science fictions or adventure or travelers. So the first step was to get into an art school. I felt like towards the end of my, we had a 5-year course in India.
Mm-hmm.
So I completed that, but towards the end of 5th year, I felt the need to spend more time learning figures more deeply. I felt I was lacking in terms of the knowledge of proper human anatomy, how to handle certain things, like oil paints was one of that. I was feeling that I don't know it technically correctly. Even our overall curriculum didn't allow us to spend more time learning about the nude figures or understanding the human form in a proper way. So I felt that was lacking, and I remember spending about a week's time after my 5th year writing down these things, that what I don't know now, because I was graduated, the course was over, and I was listing that what I don't know and how I should learn all this.
So how did you hear about Mr. Yim and decided to go all the way from India to Taipei to study with him?
Yeah, so that is, I think, the year when one of his paintings appeared on the Artist magazine from the USA. 2005 or 2006, if I'm not wrong. And I remember looking at that cover, and there was something that immediately resonated with me. And I didn't even, the first impression was that this is the kind of work I was thinking about. Like, this has something that I want to do, or it emotionally connected with me. That one portrait that was printed on the cover of the Artist magazine, and it is a very beautiful portrait. I think it was also a part of a competition, and that painting was an award-winning painting. And then, coincidentally, in 2006, I participated in one of the competitions held by Northlight Books. That was for the book called Strokes of Genius, The Best of Drawing. And that was the first issue that came out as a result of that competition. I was fortunate that my work was selected and was published in the book. And the publisher sent me the copy from USA to India. And when I opened the book, I saw, I think Mr. Reem's 2 charcoal drawings were published in that book. When I was scrolling through the book, I stopped at those 2 pages for some time. I didn't notice the name of the artist, and I felt something familiar to me. And like when I noticed the name, I said, okay, now I'm like going to see this artist's work quite a lot of time. And then I started searching for his works, and then I came to know that Mr. M is based in Taipei in Taiwan. One of my friends, my high school friend, who was working in IT industry, software industry, happened to be traveling to Taipei. I shared Mr. Yim's address from his website and requested him that if he could visit and get some books of him for me.
I see.
So that's how I was introduced in a much more broader way about Mr. Yim.
Right. And then at what point did you decide that, well, now that I have collected all this information about this artist, his work, that I want to actually go to Taipei to meet with him and study with him?
I remember, like, even my friend who met him, like he took a photograph of himself and Mr. Yim together. We had a chat before he went, and I had asked him just to see if there is anything that is possible for me to actually learn from him in some way. Then he told me that he went to the teaching studio and he could see the studio in action. I think he went for the morning session. So a lot of painting was happening, and so everybody was there. So he was very impressed. So in the year 2010, I was like free from my full-time job that I had taken. But that time, based on the availability of the visa and other things, I could dedicate 1 month time. I was feeling that it would not be enough. I was also thinking that it's just 4 weeks, and I was thinking like how the whole thing will be, like how I will get adjusted, and I had a lot of worries like the language, the weather, the food. Uh, and that how will I end up spending only 1 month and acquire more and more things. I also decided that at least I will be able to see things, like I'll be able to see the original drawing. I'll be able to see him creating those studies and working on those. I would be able to see the real canvas, and I was sure that it will give me so much just looking at them firsthand, that probably even if 1 month, if I spend just going through the works and understanding and from his talk, I'll have a lot of learning.
Well, tell us about your experience in Taipei, and I know that you also have some pictures that you want to show us.
So as I mentioned to you, when I landed in Taipei, I was communicated uh, that like um, I should not be worried about like how from the airport how will I reach to the city, or but I was not expecting that Mr. Rim himself would be there. So when I saw him, like I was just super happy. And then there was, of course, one of his student along with him who was translating for both of us. So like that greeting was like really, really comforting that I received from him on that moment. I landed over there like towards the afternoon, and in the evening we went to his teaching studio. He showed me the studio, that this is where you're going to learn from tomorrow. And the studio was filled with lots of drawings, the casts, paintings on the wall, and I was just like looking at everything with an awe, like that. And I immediately sensed that this is what I'm here for. That I want to spend as much time as I can in this studio and learning from like everything that is there. So after the studio visit, when he observed that I was feeling a little cold and my warm clothes probably were not good enough for me, he, in fact, the next morning, he got a small jacket, like a jacket for me, which I'm still having it. And he signed it when I was leaving from Taipei. I requested him that this is one of the souvenirs. And he cared so much for the students. I could sense that when they were talking in their language, he was asking about a lot of things about how they are and how they're doing. He is like a father figure. He is like a mentor to the students. And at times, even that happened to me, that at times you don't understand the intensity that a lot of initial instructions and like materials, first of all, the palette, the way the pencil should be sharpened, the kind of papers to be used, the sizes of the canvases. So there, he was very particular. In fact, I remember in the first couple of days, I was not so careful about cleaning the oil color palette. And that was due to my, like, probably I was not serious about it. But when he noticed it, he told me not to start painting and listen until the palette is clean the next day. And I spent like about an hour just cleaning and just making it shine like a glass, like just super clean. And next day when he saw it, he appreciated it, and he mentioned that now this is how it should be before you start your painting. Not it should look like it is not clean for like a week or so, and all like the color usually mix, and they will create very dull looking color mixtures due to the underlying colors. I could understand that the process and the detailing, that how the working environment should be, how the material should be, all those things really really matter a lot. He also took me to one of his other studio where he was working on this painting, which he has published later. But that time he was working on it, and he showed me like even in this photograph you can see that there are three versions of that work. One is a small color study, then there is a little bigger color study, and there is the final canvas. He also showed the studies that he created in his sketchbooks from the model. So the charcoal studies for initial idea, and then the smaller color studies, the bigger color studies, and how he has changed certain things. So he shared a lot of things, about the process. This was a very common sight in the morning session, actually, like sitting in the kitchen. There used to be the coffee and green tea for students. So, like, just in during the break time, to chat in a very humorous manner and just to relax and talk about a lot of things. This is the jacket I was talking to you about. So this is the jacket that he brought for me, which just worked comfortably. Like I was feeling warm and good about it, and I could accommodate to the weather. Otherwise, I was not used to like immediately get adjusted to a totally different weather.
So it was winter time that you went to Taipei?
It was in December.
Oh, okay.
So like on day one itself, Mr. Yim briefed me about various topics I was going to learn. So first was cast drawing, he mentioned, then figure drawing, and you will learn about portraits, you will learn about landscapes. So this was his first initial brief. And during the entire stay, there are many students who accompanied me, who actually took their time off and took me to various spots, locations for painting landscapes, especially, I think, all Sundays and all weekends and some of the afternoons. We spent outdoors. We painted immensely outdoors. And this started from this visit with Master himself. So this was the first session of landscape painting that we went to, I think, Kilung, the seashore, and he actually explained all things on the site itself. He showed me how to lay out the palette for landscape. He briefed me about how it is different from the still life palette or a palette for figure painting and the landscape. And I think he's well known for his small landscape studies that he makes on location, which are very bold in the brush approach, in color approach, and they are very lively. And demonstrated a couple of paintings on location. Then he asked all of us, I think 3 to 4 students were there along with him, along with me. And he asked us to paint now. Rest of the time we can spend painting our own paintings, and then he would comment and he would give feedback. So he asked me to note down things, and you can notice over here, the way he's laying out the color tubes and all the materials, very disciplined. And these were new things for me. I mean, being so organized, being so disciplined about the way you put things, and that made a very profound impact on me. That how serious this is. I mean, I should be very careful, and I should be also respecting the materials, the way I'm, placing things on the palette, on the canvas. So everywhere there is a clarity of thinking. There is a sense of seriousness. This was one of the photos which I took of him while he was demonstrating and talking with us. It was a very beautiful demonstration. And then there is one of his students who was translating for me. So there are some points he's mentioning, and then after a while, I could immediately understand what he was saying actually, because it was visible through the brushwork, it was visible through the colors, and the translator just made it more deeper. So language barrier just vanished actually. And then we spent some time, painting over there. And these are a couple of photographs uh, of the visit that we had that day. And that was my first experience of painting on location with oils. I was hesitant to paint with oils, at least on location. I was feeling that oil is a very complicated medium, and then how will I carry the oils, the mediums, the colors? How will I maintain the paintings? And all those things are sorted out over here. Like the paintings had small frames to be carried. There were small rubber bands which held all those small paintings together, and there were all those small frames. So I could learn all these things actually. This is the studio. One of the drawing that is there in the center in process was the demonstration started for me, and this was the first assignment I started in the studio. I completed the entire cast drawing. I'll show that image of my final drawing later. But this was a corner where I was in the first week or so, and then I moved to the painting space, and I was spending more time in painting section where I was learning about the still lifes, learning about the color mixing and other stuff, and especially for figure drawing, which was happening in the evening session. So earlier in the morning, the students were working. That there was a group working on the casts, still lifes, still life drawings, and another group working with the still life paintings. But in the evening, the entire group was focusing on the model in the center, beautifully lit, very thoughtfully posed, and everyone drawing, the model. This is my pencil demonstrated by Mr. Yim himself. I learned this from him, how to have such a long point, why it is necessary. He explained everything. So not only he did say that things need to be in order, he did explain why they need to be in order and why they need to be in that particular order. Even him arranging the still lifes, I observed how he started like putting up the still life, which flowers he picked up, how he combined and composed it. And that was also a learning for me, that because he was visualizing the painting when he was setting up the still life for students to study. This is the demonstration actually started after he set up the still life. So I could see that how it started, like from setting it up till the final painting. And even in the painting itself, he didn't include each and every detail, or he didn't include each and everything in the way it was there. So there was a lot of what you call artistic decision that he was demonstrating over there, which giving emphasis to certain areas of still life, and then putting them over there. This is another moment. I think one of the best experiences which I had of looking at his portrait painting from start to finish. And Miss Wu was posing as a model. He started, and I think it went for 2 days. But this was a very special moment for me, that I was just going through the whole process. Uh, I could see all the paints being mixed in front of me on the palette, and how the mixture is applied on the canvas. I could observe him apply the brushstrokes. So that learning is something else. I mean, it is only possible if you're standing in front of the canvas. That's what I felt.
So
Even
what,
there were
what
moments.
hold on. So what did you learn from that observation, the portrait painting observation?
Uh, Basically, like, first of all, the process itself, like, the way he started the drawing part of it. Um, he started putting down, some of the midtones in transparent washes. Then he went for the darks and the background, which was very unique for me. That first he filled in the background, and he did mention to me that the first goal should be to separate light and dark in the subject matter. And he showed me that how he was doing it. I mean, how he was looking at the shadow area, the core shadow, and how he was looking at a general light area. And then being like starting with a very general statement, and then going making it specific. But while even starting with a general statement, there are certain things need to be mentioned in the first go, like the darks of the eyes, the pupils. He mentioned, like, he painted them even in the first wash itself, and he established that contrast, that how dark they are going to be. And also, there is one more thing about the whole process that I observed, like the kind of jacket that he selected for the model, the color of it, the tonal value of it, and the background. So he mentioned about that, like how the things in the background and in the foreground, how they are tonally balanced, how there are various tonal values that he has designed while even posing the model, while he was selecting costume or attire or the lighting direction for the model. So he was giving thought of the final work output as well. So it's not merely just a portrait painting, but it's also designing the whole subject, for the painting itself. So that I learned. We used to just like go to different food places or spend some relaxed time in a different atmosphere, and chatting about things, like, and mainly it was philosophical. So it used to open up a lot of doors in my brain, like how he's looking at things, how he's explaining. And even there were talks about the artists whom he admired the most. Like he talked a lot about Repin, he talked a lot about Sarov, Soroya, um, Fashion, Nikolai Fashion. So uh, these names were introduced to me in these conversations, and some of them were familiar to me, but not all of them. But he used to take it to a different zone altogether, and I fondly remember all these conversations and this time, with him. So, like, these are a couple of moments I would like to share with you, that I wrote to you a couple of times, and you did mention that you are traveling to Taipei and will be visiting. So I was happy to even meet you. So this is the moment.
Yeah.
Uh,
And now
Even
Henning
this
is
is,
15.
yeah. So this was the entire group. I think this is from the morning session, if I'm not mistaken. So entire group of students, and this was from the evening session. So and all the students who were around were very accommodating, very helping, and especially the students who translated for me. I'm really thankful to them, because they made it really friendly. Like they didn't make it sound like a totally uh, formal translation as such. They made it very friendly, and they themselves are good artists, so they could understand what the importance of the input master was giving. So it was really a great experience. And this was, I think, one of the like souvenirs which I carried for master from India. I remember on day one, like in the studio, he briefed to me what all subjects I was going to study. So he told me that I was going to practice cast drawing, I was going to practice still life painting, landscape painting, figure drawing, and he would be showing to me the entire process of portrait painting. So he said that he's going to cover um, uh, a lot of uh, subjects so that I can get an entire idea and I could learn from it. In fact, he also showed his narrative paintings, which is an entire genre in itself, like the big canvases. He showed me many of his narrative paintings, uh, of course, with the help of his student to translate to me about the stories and the subject matter. So, just if I didn't have an idea about what is the genesis of the painting, what is the subject matter, I'll be appreciating only the surface level composition and the painting's technique and the lighting and the overall impact of the work. But when he narrated the story, I could understand the seriousness of how sensitive the subject has inspired him to paint this. I mean, why he has spent about 10 years, working on one of his canvases, which is a masterpiece. And when I heard about the story, when I looked at the painting from that perspective, it opened a totally new meaning to me. Those paintings are not done like a 2 day or 3 days time, or something like a landscape painting in some couple of hours. Those paintings have taken shape, probably like some months or a few years also, and those are very close to his art. Those are very personal also, some of the works. So that is really really interesting to see that how um, like artistically those paintings are done. So we talked about all these things, and during this conversation towards the end, when it was like kind of like a what you call like a summary or a summarizing conversation, he mentioned that on day one I told you about a lot of subjects to learn and a lot of things to practice, but what exactly I have done is I have washed your eyes. And he said that I have changed some things in your vision. And I like that particular comment by him made a really profound impact on me, because it exactly happened like that. I could sense that he has actually changed my vision. So that vision is persistent, it's still there, and I'm sure that it will be there. So that is a very important thing. I mean, in the learning part, getting an understanding of what one is learning and having a vision about it, to be able to see it, are the two important things which I feel culminates into a really ideal learning experience. Not just knowing about technique and not just knowing about the mediums and other stuff, technical aspects, but going a little beyond than that, and changing the perception, the maturity, and the wisdom, basically. So that was ultimate gain that I could have in this whole journey.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us and sharing all these pictures. Do you have pictures of your works that you can show us, that you can maybe talk about how your experience in Taipei has impacted your art?
So I would like to share some of my work. I believe like I'm still learning and discovering a lot of things, and I'm still processing a lot of many aspects of creating art. But this is my first still lifes which I painted in under Mr. Yim's guidance. Also, I will say that this is my first, probably a technically okay or technically correct oil painting that way. I didn't handle oil painting so well or so comfortably before this, as I mentioned to you earlier. This is the second one. I was actually spending time, creating small studies as well in the studio. This was the cast drawing which I completed. I think it took about 2 weeks of time. So every day in the morning during the drawing session, for about three hours, I think I was spending time learning cast drawing. This is one of the drawings which I made during the same period. So this was in the evening session. I would like to say that this is probably my first drawing which I did from the academic drawing study perspective, like where the lighting is planned, the model pose is planned, and the model is also studied for the anatomical forms. And the approach is not just drawing, the approach is towards studying the figure in an academic way. This is the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like my first oil painting done on location. So the experience was when he demonstrated the color mixing part, that was really crucial. The way he captured the colors of the atmosphere and the landscape in a very interesting way. I mean, a very unusual way of color mixing, and it actually resonated with me for the color vibrancy and color temperature, like the way he varies the warm and cool colors together in a painting. So we can notice that there are very subtle differences of color variation, but it just builds slowly like an impressionist painting. So I tried to learn that, and I tried to also apply the way he put the brush strokes on the canvas. The bold brush strokes, and making like a little bolder color statement.
Mm-hmm.
So I was after that. Like there is one more thing I would like to share with you, and I'll just tell it very briefly. I got an opportunity to actually go to St. Petersburg and study at the Repin Art Institute. So before going there, I wrote to Master. I shared that I'm actually going to now look at Repin's original works and Sorov's original works and try to learn from them. So he did mention to me during our conversation in Taipei. And he has written, I think, in one of his books also, that it's like standing on the shoulders of the masters, so learning from them. And he has mentioned that if we could even touch their boots in the entire journey, we would have done something exceptional. So I was like, I wrote to him about that. Like I try to touch the master's shoes, and I try to learn from them. So, but there is something really interesting that I experienced on day one of my stay in St. Petersburg. So I landed in St. Petersburg, and I was staying in the academy's hostel. I didn't have a class to attend on day one, and the academy has a very nice lawn, in its premise. So I was sitting there and just trying to sketch some things. And there was one German student who walked up to me, and after looking at me, he did ask me, "Are you Niranjan?" I was shocked. I thought that probably he is a classmate of mine, and he is aware of my name, probably from the student list or something at the Repin Academy. I asked him, like, how do you know my name? So he mentioned about Mr. Yim. He said that he's a follower of his work. After my visit to Taipei, I wrote a small note about my experience, which Mr. Yim published on his website. He was very kind that he published my experience. And there were a couple of photographs of me and him. And the German student who was studying in the Repin Art Institute, he had actually read about it. So it was a really like how on earth I'm going to visualize that I'm in St. Petersburg in Russia, and someone from Germany who happens to be there, who is aware of my name and that article and my study. Like he did mention that, "Are you Niranjan, the student of Mr. Im?" I was just like blown away.
Oh, what a coincidence and a wonderful connection.
Yeah, and it was all unexpected. I mean, I didn't have a slight of expectation that something of this sort, will come in my way. These are some of the drawings which I have done like after like 2010. I went to Russia in 2013. I'm still learning and I'm still discovering. And I think my visit to Taipei and learning under Mr. Yim has opened this vast um, door, like how to really study and how to really look at things. So these are some of my works and some of the drawings, done at a later period of time. I'm also like, what do you call, like experimental in terms of what mediums I'm approaching to. So there are some of the digital tools also, like there are some digital painting tools.
Mhm.
I equally appreciate all tools. Like I passionate about drawing with pencils. Even now, every weekend, every week, I'm studying figure and I'm drawing with charcoals and pencils and trying to improve my drawing skill. Other times, I'm also using the acrylic paints, oil paints, watercolors, and also a digital domain. The digital medium has opened some avenues. So this is one of the paintings done using some of the digital tools.
Oh, wow.
So these are some of the works. I'd like to just take you through. This is using black and white pencils,
Mm-hmm.
studying figure. This is oil. This is from my exhibition, my solo exhibition that I held in 2012. And for the exhibition, the catalog which was published, Mr. Rim was kind enough to write a foreword for it. Like he had written an introduction for that catalog, and he has worded the exact expression, of the subjects that I had in the works. And so he could just what do you call, analyze what I was trying to put in that exhibition in his introduction. This also, if you could see that this is of course done in a digital tool, but the brushwork and the color mixing and the kind of composition is all reminiscence of my experience in Taipei. This is done like just couple of years ago,
I see.
but the impact from 2010 is still there.
So if people are interested in your art, where can they find information about it?
Um, Currently, I will say on two of the social media platforms at least. That is Facebook and Instagram. I do have one page on Art Station also, uh, which is not updated for a long time, but I'll be updating with some newer works very soon. But Instagram and Facebook is a source right now where I can be reached and my work can be seen.
Okay, all right. We will include that information in the description of this video.
Sure. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we close this interview?
I will say that this was a really important step that I took in my career to travel to Taipei and study with Master Yim. And as I mentioned to you, it actually changed my understanding and my vision. After 2010, uh, like from 2011 itself, I started to work with a institute in my hometown, and I was teaching to few students, and I was teaching human anatomy and drawing related subjects. I was teaching to design students mainly, but there were many quotes from the master which used to come to my mind, and even now they come to my mind. So one of the quote which Mr. Reem has mentioned in his book, where he says, like we, as before, like going through his quote, used to say that uh, painting is drawing with color. We used to say it in a very generalized way, like just to define it. He has quoted it in a little different way. He has quoted it in this way that drawing is painting without color. So there is a really deeper meaning to it. Like the drawing part is equally expressive, equally freeing, and equally bold. as a brushwork is. And this has opened a new meaning to what a drawing is, what we term as a drawing as such. So there are many such words of wisdom that even when I share with my students, they can relate to it and they find like really impact that works for them. So this is something that I would like to share with you.
Oh, wow, great. Well, thank you so much. I will relay all of that back to Mr. Yim. I'm sure that he will be happy to hear that. And, we also have a lot of resources on YouTube. So you're welcome to share that with your students.
Yes, I will. And I'm doing that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Niranjan. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you again for taking the time to share your experiences with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Iris. And I'm really humbled, and it was fun to, like just revisit the memories and talk to you on this platform. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.